Today I'm going to be showing you how to make an 8-fold repeated tessellation. And to do this, all you're going to need really is a piece of paper. If you want to make it a little bit easier for yourself, you can also use a pencil, just so we can draw a fold map so you can replicate the design more easily. So the first thing we're going to do is have a look at what it should look like. Now for an 8-fold herringbone tessellation, it should look something like this. And as you can see, it expands up to the full width of a piece of paper and compresses down very, very small, just like we saw in the video with the sunflower shade that Nessa are using. Now you could remember that theirs was curved and ours only expands horizontally. It's because it's a little bit simpler to make, but the tessellation pattern is actually this repeated diamond shape here. And as you can see, they interlink and there's no gaps anywhere. Now, as you know, this is an irregular tessellation because it's not a regular polygon, because the interior angles aren't the same. So first thing we're going to do is come up with our 8 folds. So in order to do that, we're just going to fold our paper in half, fold our paper in half again, and then half once more. So try and make sure everything's as neat as you can, and fold down. While you're folding the paper, make sure that you're really firm on those creases, just because the sharper the points, the easier it is. Again, and then once more. Now I'm going to open this out and just double check that we have the right number of creases. Remember, it should be 8. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Perfect. So next what we're going to do is we're going to concertina these folds, same as you would if you were making a fan to cool yourself down on a hot day. Just going to go like this. And then we're going to make right angle folds all the way along. So it'll be a right angle triangle there with that paper folding over from there at a 45-degree angle. So I'm going to go like that, press it down, and then do it the other way. And flip it over. Now the most important thing is to make sure that this line here keeps going and the bottom edge here maintains parallel to it. So if I do that again, you can see that now these two edges are running parallel to each other. And this is key to getting that herringbone shape in the tessellation. Flip it over again. And continue this all the way along. There we go. So when we fold it into place, it should form a straight edge of a sort of helixing piece of paper. If you have a little bit of a tail left, what you can do is just using some scissors, give that a trim off, just so it's nice and easy for us to use. And then we're left with a piece of paper with all our creases and folds already in it. If you want to, at this point, to make things a little bit easier for yourself to understand, you can make it into a fold map. You can see here you've got all the lines. Taking just a normal pencil, draw along these lines, and draw along the vertical axis. Then shade in each individual block and alternate. this should leave you with something that looks a little bit like this. So as you can see, all my opposing blocks are shaded. This lets me know that I have to fold in opposite directions to what the opposing side is for the tessellation, and it also is a good way for me to check that my folding pattern is correct, because I know that if I have a grey shaded piece here and another grey shading piece with any of its sides adjacently touching it, that I've messed it up. So I need to review it, start again, and I should also have something on my diagonal corners that is the same colour, kind of like a chessboard, only a little bit wonky. So now we're going to look at the actual fun bit, the folding up of the tessellation. So I'm going to use this example just because it will be a little bit easier for me to show you. So the first thing I'm going to do is concertina up the piece of paper, like so. Then we're going to open it up and we're going to bring any corners that are going away from us towards us. So fold that edge up, this edge, here, and we're just folding along those crease lines or on our fold map, getting those individual panels in the right place. I'm going to push that together and give it a good squeeze. I'm going to open it out, and now I'm going to use those fold lines but reverse the direction of the concertina. So I'm going to push that down, and then at the point there I'm going to push that up, kind of like that. And you can see how, because that fold line is also going away from us, we need to push it up just so we can maintain that nice crisp shape. Just going to fold that in place there, fold down, fold up, and with these, if you can feel the points are fighting you a little bit, just give them a little pinch with your hand, just to really strengthen those creases. Now along each of those 8 rows that we made, the paper should be folded down into a valley and then up into a mountain and back down into a valley all the way along. Easiest way I like to remember it is if I'm looking at the row and it starts with an up, all those shaded grey pieces will be pointing down, and the row opposite it will be pointing down but towards me. So we're going to carry on with this. Again, just pushing those corners in, popping them out where they need to be, and pushing them down. So we have all of this, and going back to the end here. So remember, this one's going down, so now we need to pull it up, and that in turn is going to make this rise in that nice peaks and valleys that we've used before. So if you can feel your paper starting to crease like that, don't worry, it's really important just to remember to use those crease points. They're the key, so you know that that should be going down. So I'm going to pop it down, and as you can see, it just forms back into place really, really nicely. Got that. And for the next layer, we know that it needs to be going down. I'm just going to give it a little pinch. That needs to be going up and down and up. That one's fighting me there, and down and up and down. And then our final row along the bottom, we're just going to pull these up at each individual point, similar to how we did the top, just by reflexing. So now, as you can see, we've got the tessellation. The easiest way to bring this out and to make it really, really strong in its folds is just to very, very gently push it together. As you go, you can see things like this where the corner isn't exactly meeting in. I'm just going to push that in with my finger, and then we have it all folded up. At this point, I'm going to give it a nice firm squeeze just to bring out the crispness in all those edges. So then when you open it up, you have a lovely sharp tessellation. You might be thinking, ugh, gross, I don't want all those grey scribbles on my tessellation. I want it to be, you know, like, you know, some of the artists we've looked at, really, really crisp, really, really clean. No problem, all sorted. Now this technique can actually be applied into more complicated designs if you found that particularly easy. By simply folding those 8 sections again, you can create a 16-fold tessellation, which looks kind of like this. It's exactly the same technique, it does the same thing where it expands out and does really, really small. And as I mentioned earlier, this is a technique that's been used to create a solar sail in a Japanese space telescope. Basically, the telescope goes up into space. They want it to be as compact as possible, so it's aerodynamic. And then when it gets to its desired point, the sail opens up and is able to catch and utilize solar winds. So yeah, art in science and origami in space. And now you can do it too.